so at the very end, and this is one of the slides that you'll look at. I think it looks kind of neat. All right, so you'll have some skeletal muscle fibers like this. So we see striation, so we know that's the skeletal muscle fiber. And then we're going to have you're going to have a nerve come in here. And so we're going to have a nerve, and there's going to be like a little expanded end here, and then it's also going to have another little branch to go over here, a little expanded end, and there's going to be several of those. Actually, and I think the slide looks more like one coming in like this, and then kind of lots of branches coming off of it with little, almost like little buttons on the end, and then your skeletal muscle fiber kind of overlying it this way. Okay. So this is kind of what the slide of your neuromuscular junction is going to look like. Well, the very end here of the nerve is going to be called the axon terminal. Well, again, because it's the end. And the axon is the part of the nerve that is, this is the axon. This part here. And then the button little part at the end is called the axon terminal. The place on the muscle fiber that is going to contact the axon terminal is called the motor end plate. Motor end plate. So that's the place on the muscle fiber itself that is going to receive the nerve. Yes.
Is the axon terminal the same thing as a synaptic terminal?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Because the synapse, that term synapse, is used to describe any interaction of a nerve with another cell. And so because that other cell is a skeletal muscle fiber, for right now we're just going to call it the axon terminal, but a synaptic terminal is the same thing. Okay. Now, when we look at this microscope, or you can't tell under a microscope, at least the light microscopes that we have, but the nerve and the muscle are not actually touching. There is actually a gap in between the two. And so, like I said, this is called a synapse. And so we're going to have what's called a synaptic cleft. So here's the nerve. Synaptic terminal, axon terminal, whatever we want to call it. And then here is the muscle. So this kind of U shape here would be that motor end plate. And they're not touching. So this space in between the two is called the synaptic cleft. That's the space, the synaptic cleft. So since they're not even touching, how does the signal get from the nerve to the muscle to tell it to start contracting? What's going to cross this space? It's going to be a neurotransmitter, right? That's going to be, it's because it's coming from a nerve, going to another cell called a neurotransmitter. And here in the muscular system, at the neuromuscular junction, that neurotransmitter is called acetylcholine. And that's just much easier to write than acetylcholine every time, so ACH. And so what happens is these are in little vesicles at the end of the nerve. We've got a whole bunch of acetylcholine in all of these vesicles here. And when the signal comes, it's an action potential on the nervous side too. When that action potential comes down here, it causes these vesicles to fuse to the membrane. Exocytosis, the acetylcholine goes into the synaptic cleft. And then they are going to bind to a receptor on the muscle fiber. And so when the acetylcholine binds here, that starts the action potential in the muscle fiber. Okay. And then it travels along the membrane of the muscle fiber, it goes down the T-tubule, releases calcium from the sarcoplasmic reticulum, and then you have a muscle contraction, the sliding filament theory. All of those steps take place.